How are you doing? How are you doing? All right, all right. Before I bring the one and only Mr. TD in here from White Collar, I'm going to do a White Collar Sideshow video real quick. Let's see if this works. Ah. All right, here we go.
Feel the wind shut, about to implode. Feel that burn as you run from the horn. Feel that chain wrapped around your neck. Tied to a box, means certain death. I'm melting, melting, and don't care who knows it. Full throttle role model, zombie metaphor. Consuming the flesh from the heart to the stomach. I'm melting, I'm melting. But don't care who knows it. Eye for an eye makes the whole world go by. Eye for an eye makes the whole world go by. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Eye for an eye makes the whole world go. Why? 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 Sharpen those sticks and concrete those stones. The hunt begins for human bones. Slow to judge the quick and the dead. Your stereotype like beats my head. I'm melting, melting, and don't care who knows it. Full throttle role model, zombie metaphor. Consuming the flesh from the heart to the stomach. I'm melting, I'm melting. But don't care who knows it. Eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind. Eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind. 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 Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. I'm melting, melting, and don't care who knows it. Full throttle role model, zombie metaphor. Consuming the flesh from the heart to the stomach. I'm melting, I'm melting. We don't care who knows it. Eye for an eye makes the whole world go by. Eye for an eye makes the whole world go by. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind. Eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind.
All right, Mr. TD, what you doing, brother?
Mary.
Bringing out my dead.
Mary, it's good to see you, man. It's been a long time. I mean, other than social media,
Right.
in person. Do you remember we met in person at the Arkansas State Fair?
Yes, 13X, White
Yeah.
Sideshow, El Camino.
Oh yeah, they were great too, man.
Yeah, dude, that was a fun show. That's
Yeah.
the first time I got to see y'all officially live. And I was like, you're setting up your drums and stuff, and I seen that real big one that's like it was like a cutting blade, and I was like, "Who you cutting, dude?"
Mhm. You
And
know, that saw blade has been on my drum set for the last 14 years. Can you believe that?
dude, I'm telling, and this when I seen y'all bring up the saws and stuff, and I'm like, dude, this is gonna be crazy. This is gonna be fun. It was awesome. It was
Man,
awesome.
it was cool. It was cool to get to play, you know, to do a show where everything, the production is excellent. Um, all of the bands are excellent. I don't know how else to say that. Like, to do a quality show. And then also, we do our own performances. So you're trusting the lighting guy, you're trusting, where you're not really in your element, but you have to perform at the top quality of your element, no matter what. So
Well, you brought it because I went out in the crowd and went front row center and was taking pictures and videoing. And dude, your wife is
yeah.
phenomenal. I mean, I cannot even say. I was sitting there trying to watch you, trying to watch her, and I watched the screen, and I was like, dude, this is an awesome production, man. This is awesome.
Man, thank you. You're making me feel good. My wife is the queen. Like, she only learned how to play bass when we first started touring.
You're
Um,
kidding.
yeah, so she grew up singing, but she never played an instrument. And when we first started, we've been on the road for 12 years, but we started as a band 14 years ago. Um, so when we first started, she only knows the bass parts to our songs. So like almost like a factory job. And
She is trained for this.
but a lot of people don't know this about my wife. She's also our manager, our tour manager, our booking agent. She does all of our business. She also is our chef. Basically, she doesn't drive and she doesn't play drums. And she really is what keeps our train moving. I do all of a lot of the creative element of everything, and she does all of the business parts. So we make a really good team. And then, we work 24 hours a day, 8 days a week, it feels like.
Right.
So
By the way, I want to tell you congratulations on the 2020 Recording Academy invitee.
come on, I became a member. I in June. So for a lot of people out there who might be listening to Recording Academy, if you hear someone go up and accept a Grammy Award, they'll say, "I want to thank God, and then I want to thank the Academy." So I became a member of the Recording Academy, where
Phenomenal.
man, it's crazy. It's such a huge honor. It puts you as an artist, um,
Way up here.
well, just in a place where we're able to submit our music for Grammy nominations now, our films, our art, our different things. And not only that, you're voting. I'm a voting member for the Grammy Awards, so I get to vote for whoever's up for nominations. And then also something I didn't realize, Mary, you will appreciate this.
Cool.
Um, I so being a part of the academy, like someone messaged me the other day and said, it like in your 2020 class it was you and then Lil Nas X. Like, there's a lot of like huge performers obviously that are in this world, but part of a duty that I have to do in as being a member of this academy, I was on the phone last week with our Arkansas State Senator Bozeman,
Cool.
about artists. Like, here we are, full-time musicians. We were the first to leave the workforce. We'll be the last to enter back in.
Right.
So how are we taking care of our artists? How are we finding value in music, value in art, and not just an artist like myself that's performing? The studios, the publishing, there's so much, the venues. So
Exactly.
people who don't see this element as full-time jobs or as real jobs. So I've had to study as a part of the academy to get up on what we're bringing to legislature, the HITS Act, which is actually being able to use different things as a tax write-off if you're a full-time musician.
Right.
The CARES Act, which is helping create unemployment for musicians who are out of work. You know, for us, we've been on the road for 12 years. So a huge part of our life and income is touring.
Yeah, and it's just gone. You
And
know,
then you're depending on social media. You're depending on Spotify. So for instance, Spotify, if someone listens to our album all the way through our album, you
Mhm.
get 5 cents. And 5 cents is split between your record label, between members of the band, between your management. So I think our last check for social media was $23 last month.
Wow.
So how do we live off stuff like this?
You don't. You don't. And I seen where you guys did a live, and I like how you put it in there that it was on 3 iPhones. And I was like, I've got an iPhone. And the way y'all did it, you couldn't tell it was done on an iPhone.
Girl, that is, here's the thing. When you're putting something out on social media, right? And you know this because you're in the music world and you see a lot of bands out there. You want it to be excellent. You want it to be quality. You want it to be performance. You want it to be the best, how can I say this? You want people to see you the best at your craft as you can be. But even through social media, if you don't have the right sound and if you don't have, whatever, even drums, like the cymbals can be so loud in just a straight live mix. So we're setting up this live show and we have a friend of ours in Nashville, David Lim, who also runs sound for Casey Musgraves, who I think won Album of the Year last year for country music artists or in general, I think. Anyway, he had the idea of, why don't we just set up this show and you run it straight to the board and we film it and then we put it out there where it's not just this live stream of obnoxious noise.
Right.
And then we were like, well, man, our film guys in Arkansas, we had 3 crappy iPhones and we set them up around and we did all that in one take. Like that's just one seamless performance. And Veronica, we know nothing about editing. We put that in iMovie and had to edit. It took us, I think we stayed awake for 4 or 5 days.
Done.
Putting it together, putting the sound together. He went back home and mixed it. And then we were able to do it as a live show, but with great quality, great sound.
Right.
And you're right. Like it's amazing what you can do with technology. If in these times of COVID, it's being creative with what you have.
Well, it is. I mean, because like you said, if you're used to touring and you do this for a living and that is your whole income, you are nothing but tour, and it's just all of a sudden, whoop, gone. You have got to figure out different unique ways to offset that. And it's hard, it is hard, but you can do it. You can do it. And you guys have done it. I've been watching all your cool little drumming videos where you go, dude, on an air conditioner. Really? Never thought that.
Me either. Hey, what's funny about that, Mary? We there's film and all these music videos that we do that go in our performance, right? That we spent 2.5 years filming these music videos, these short films is what we try to do. And 2.5 years, all your money, we put a music video out there, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 views, which is amazing. And it's great. And people are paying attention. I go and play on an air conditioner for 1 minute, 80,000 views. It's like, what am I doing with my life in this?
Now, guys, you can go. I'm putting up the link on the bottom. You can go to whitecollarsideshow.com, or you can go to Facebook to White Collar Sideshow, and you can check out all these cool videos we're talking about. I mean, TD does some drumming on a motorcycle.
Yeah, I'm fixing to release one that full motorcycle video. So it's like 2.5 minutes. But
I'm like, dude, that's cool. I mean, come on.
Well, what's funny about that? so we were like I was telling you this earlier. We've been based out of Nashville for most of this year because that's part of our tour season. We had so many festivals coming up. And then you're booking around festivals, and you're creating your year. And usually our year starts at the end of February to about Thanksgiving, basically.
Right.
And then we're back in Arkansas for the holidays. But you're always somewhere. And then when COVID hit, we got here right when COVID hit, so everything shut down. We park in downtown Nashville. Like, we're 3 blocks from Broadway, the honky tonks and all those things. And here's this giant city where there's no one but us. Like, a lot of our routine is we get up, we work out, and you're running through this city and there's nothing. I mean, you own the city. So we were like, well, Veronica, let me put it this way, was like, we got to figure out something to do to stay relevant, that's creative beyond our music. And she's like, let's go film these drum videos like what we did on the air conditioner. Let's go do these things and do something different. And I was like, I fought her on that. I was like, man, I don't want it to all be about me and drums. And like, I don't want to do this. And she's like, man, we got to do something. So let's figure out creativity in a different way.
Well,
And we did.
it keeps people like they want to go to your page to see what you're going to do next. So she knew exactly. She had a method to her madness.
And now it's turned into a giant animal of layers of all these different things where it's not just playing on an air conditioner. Now we're layering different sounds but it is being creative, and there's no money in that, but at the same time, there's something more valuable than money, and it's giving people minute-long vacations, I think, from what's happening in their life, from what's going on in around them with all these different distractions. Maybe here's something that's entertaining that you get a kick out of for a second.
Right. Jordan says, tell him I said hi and love their show.
Thanks, Jordan, man. I appreciate it. Hello, back.
And let's see, we got Monica. She says, you guys are an awesome team.
Man, Monica's been sharing a lot of our stuff lately, and I'm super thankful for you, Monica. Thank you very much.
So what is to come with you guys? I mean, I know you've got all kinds of things going on with your videos, and your new album came out this year, correct?
Yeah, well, it came out last October.
Last October.
So right, you have an album come out, and you're supposed to be touring this album. And what's up, Oscar? and you're supposed to be touring this album this year with we've been with Curtain Call Records for a little over a year now, and they've been really good to us. They've been great teammates. I feel like we're the teams of scratching and clawing, where we're constantly trying to keep going, keep pushing forward, keep moving forward. And I think the challenge is, we spent 2.5 years putting this live show together. We did one tour, and then everything fell apart.
Right.
And so it's trying to figure out, like, what's the next step. The song that you played earlier, Bring Out Your Dead, actually hit Billboard charts this year.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get I had this written down. Let me see. Number 23.
Something like that, girl. I have no idea.
Well, when I was doing my like lead up to the show videos, since I booked you for this one, the first little lead up when I announced that I was going to have y'all, I had that written down, man. You were actually on 2 charts, weren't you?
There's the Billboard charts, which is kind of your if you're in the music world, like your main stage. If you're in the baseball world, it's your major leagues. And then the secondary foundation charts is kind of your minor leagues, is where a lot of test music goes to see if it keeps going. And so I think we hit 22 on the secondary charts, and then like 33 or something on Billboard, which is an amazing thing. Like, that's the things you dream about when you're a kid.
Right? I mean, did you ever think you would see a band you were in on the Billboard charts?
No, I then you're up there, and it's like Korn and Ozzy and all these things, and you're like, man. And then you realize, like, so here's where the musical addiction comes in. Okay, what do we release next that's going to be equivalent to that?
Right.
And what are we doing? What's our our newer music looking like? What's our new, what's it going to look like trying to get back in that limelight? Because you're not a household name. You're not Ozzy. You're not Korn. You're just White Collar Sideshow. And who are these guys? So for most people,
You're badass. That's what
well, I appreciate you. So a lot of it is figuring out, again, the different elements of, okay, normally we would be on the road doing a show that we put together because they're concept albums. We would be on the road for 4 or 5 years and we wouldn't even have the time to put an album together.
right.
But since we've been down, I've started working with the studio doing pre-production, Studio 221 in Barling, Arkansas, just throwing some ideas around. And I'm starting to see that, okay, here's some ideas, here's some evolution of what we've just released. Maybe I can be ahead of the game in this and at least start getting some pre-production ideas. I'm going to be working with that studio through the winter time. And then I'll take those ideas to our producer in Los Angeles, whose name is Chris Baseford. And he's done our last 2 albums, and he's worked with art.
Yeah, he did work with Rob Zombie and all kinds of artists.
Yeah, I think
It
like
is phenomenal.
he's great. And to find someone that pulls the ideas out of your head, we just have a good team together. And so it's getting kind of a head start with where I would normally be 2 years away is right now writing some ideas, writing some concepts, writing, these film ideas that we do, kind of these Pink Floyd, The Wall, Twilight Zone, strange shows that we put together. And
I can't wait to do the next one.
girl, if we pull off another one, I couldn't even believe we pulled this last one off. So it's always miraculous to me. And again, like I'm a believer, so I'm always like, Lord, thank you so much, because the way that we live, we live in our truck, like we don't have a house. We live in a U-Haul that we've turned into a micro house, and it hauls our gear. And so my faith is grown so much in this with where's our next paycheck coming from? Where's our next meal coming from? Gas money, And so
Walters from Exit from Dark says, indeed, always loving.
yeah, I mean, so
and wants to know what country loves y'all most.
Oh man, I would have to say Brazil. Yeah.
Didn't you do a video while you were down in Brazil too?
We did do a video in Brazil, and the guy that recorded that for us is not the original drummer for Solpatira. Jean is his name. He is the drummer for Solpatira and also the drummer for the band called Egos Kill Talent, who just did like a tour with Foo Fighters before COVID hit. Recorded that in Brazil for Converse tennis shoes. A buddy that we met at a wedding was like, let me do a music video for you. And we were like, okay. And it turned out amazing.
Right. I think it was, y'all were doing a behind the scenes thing, and y'all were showing where they were digging the holes and all that. And I've been watching all this stuff. So I've been watching what y'all do. I mean, when I seen you that first time at the state fair, I was hooked.
Oh man, that's when you play a venue like that, and for us that have video and media that goes with our performance, and those giant screens, I mean, it just adds so much. I mean, you wish you could do that every night.
I know, you wish you had a giant screen that you strapped along with you everywhere.
It's exactly right. It's exactly right.
The stage and the lights and that humongous screen, it could be seen on the other side of the state fair. And it was great. I'm just ready to see that again.
Oh man. I'm ready to be on the road again. Like we've only done, I think we did on our last tour was 17 states over 2 months. And so we were ready to get back out. And then, our film guy, his name's Travis Joyner. He's from Fort Smith, Arkansas at 5 Star Productions. He's been with us. He's done all of our films that go with every performance since 2006, 2007. And man, he's just a genius. He's another one of those guys that you have these ideas in your head and he's able to pull them out and manipulate them and put them into a place of quality and into a place of really challenging someone's thinking, which is what art should do.
Right. David wants to know what's your biggest musical influences?
Biggest musical influences, I would have to start with The Doors. I became obsessed with The Doors.
Heck yeah.
But also, like in the 80s, I grew up playing drums in the 80s. So Tommy Lee.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
I would like Tommy Lee. So Motley Crue, Metallica changed my world. Is in like '88, I got Injustice for All, and then I started going back in time. Metallica changed my world. And then, but also like Pink Floyd is insanely huge.
Pink Floyd is the bomb. I'm sorry.
There's a band from they are.
I love them, man. My husband is his favorite song. Oh gosh, he's a Pink Floyd freak, but I actually got him into singing, and he got up on stage one night and sang "Wish You Were Here for Me."
Oh man,
Oh,
sure, it was beautiful.
oh God.
Yeah, Pink Floyd is definitely one of those bands. Also, like a band from Little Rock that really changed my life without knowing it was a band called Living Sacrifice. Sure, you know them. They've been around forever now. But also Nine Inch Nails is, I think I was getting out of the hair metal scene and getting into Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, but Nine Inch Nails and White Zombie were probably the two bands that really kind of gave me an outlet to go, wow, there's more to music than just music. There's visual. There's a way to show people what you're thinking. There's a way to make people feel a certain way.
Have y'all had the opportunity yet? And I could actually see this in my head. I could see y'all on tour with Zombie, with Rob Zombie.
Oh man, I mean that would be
an epic show with
it'd
his
be,
show and y'all's show.
yeah. I've seen White Zombie once, and then I saw Rob Zombie. I've seen him six times now. And if anybody, even if you don't know a lot of his music, if you go to a Rob Zombie show, I mean, it is the epitome, not just of, I don't want to say sex, drugs, and rock and roll, not from his standpoint.
My husband, and he had this big, humongous robot.
Yeah.
And his guitar player sitting here playing on a two neck, a double one. I mean, and this big freaking monsters behind him going whoop whoop.
His guitar player is John 5 for any heavy metal guitar players out there. He seems to get like guitar player of the year.
And the drummer, if he was sitting down, I didn't see it because I mean he's like you. He's just like, I mean, he don't just sit there and no, you're gonna notice me.
Ginger Fish, man. That
Right.
all those dudes came from Marilyn Manson's band. And then all of Rob Zombie's band, I believe, moved up to the Aussie. Like they've moved up the creepy food chain.
Right. If that ever happens, I want front row seats.
Oh man. Oh, David says we got a lot of the same taste. I agree. I feel like with Rob Zombie, if you haven't seen a show of his, obviously, you're gonna get that sex, drugs, and rock and roll element. Veronica and I both go with little notebooks, and we're like, how do we do this for $5?
Right.
I mean, he is an entertainer, and I appreciate that, and the same with Trent Reznor. Like, there's something about that where you're trying to go and even performing with other bands, even like performing with 13X. We had great conversations after the show of, man, how do you do this, or how do you do that, or how are we doing this? And I feel like that's the learning process of getting into an entertainment factor where it's not just about the song anymore, but it's how are we growing, in the whole element of art.
Yeah, it's because you're not just up there playing music, you're actually putting on a show. You're creating an experience with your show to tell your story. And dude, you guys are awesome.
Well, thank you, Mary, man. We are sure there's so many people in our life that build into us and encourage us, and our cheerleaders and leaders that help us have focus and clarity, even when you're failing in life. And I've had many failures in life, especially putting this last album together and completely falling apart as a human being and having to get back to your roots, your mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical roots, and trim the hedges and get that focus and clarity back to what you feel like you're called to do. And for me, I feel like this is a calling on my life, not just the show and not just performing and playing music, but all of the different elements. You know, I have so many people message me, how do you guys do this? How do you guys do this? How do you guys do this? And it's like, well, it's not just about writing great music, although that's a big part of it.
Right.
It's about, are you working out? I mean, I'm 45 years old. So to be able to keep doing this at a certain level, are you eating right? Are you working out? Where are you at spiritually? Where are you at emotionally, mentally? I mean, therapy has been a game changer for me. 12-step programs have been a game changer for me. And
Wow.
really trying to take away from the distraction and go, all right, now let's broaden our horizons. And that's easier said than done. I mean, and that's easier.
It is. It is. I
So
mean,
a lot of people don't talk about stuff like that, but you know, you're putting your heart out there as an artist. Suicide, depression, those things are very real.
well, see, everybody sees, all these amazing artists on stage, and they're like, oh, this must be awesome. This is great. They must have the time of their life. But you don't know what that artist is dealing with on a daily basis when they're not in front of you, putting that smile on their face or
Yeah.
ripping or melting your faces. You have no idea what they're going through in their when they're off that stage, and it could be tremendous. And like you said,
Yeah.
got to find that balance to keep to keep yourself level and
And
everything.
that's just not for, I mean, that's in everybody's world. That's just not for an artistic world. And it's really just putting yourself in someone else's shoes and going, you know what, I'm not going to stereotype or judge a person. It's really like loving unconditionally and being able to see yourself in someone else's shoes, someone else's eyes, and taking that perspective, as an artist as well, and writing from that perspective.
Right.
Oh, I
Right.
see David's at, so how many hours you spend per song in the studio? Um, Millions.
uh,
I don't know. Like to me, our last album, I wrote most of it while we were in Brazil, and I stayed up days. I didn't even sleep because you get this creative idea, and you just run with it. The hard part for me now is that I'm doing pre-production in an actual studio rather than doing it on my computer. So I don't have the choice to stay up days and days. That, like, everybody else has to go home and see their families and all that. So
right.
I think what we're doing when I get back home in the fall for our pre-production, we'll be working like a 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock, 4 or 5 days a week until, maybe from October until February.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a busy schedule. So you can only imagine the amount of time. And that's just pre-production. I'll take all of that stuff and then we'll go to LA and talk with Chris and let him trim the fat and let's move forward with that. So it's a process.
Beginning. Yeah, that's
Thank you, Brandon.
that's just the beginning. So um so what exciting new, which the 2020 nominee thing, that's pretty freaking exciting. Uh, so what other exciting new things has been going on with y'all? I was sharing um your sweetheart, she is gorgeous. She was doing that, what was it, a tattoo magazine cover or something like that? And she was in for that. Yeah, I'm always seeing where y'all are doing things like that. So what's to come up that you haven't put out yet that you can talk about?
I mean, that's a good question. I know we've got a new single coming out, and we'll have a video for that. So, I mean, that's always exciting. And again, like, we've been listening to these songs for the last 2 or 3 years. So for us, it's not new, but you get excited about those things. I think something for us too is still like working with Curtain Call Records. Like, for a lot of people that don't realize, we were independent for 13 years. And then a friend of ours, Josh Roach, introduced us with Don from Curtain Call, who connected us with John and Gigi, and so this little family thing kind of came together. I feel like there's something about that label where it's a lot of bands who are scratching and clawing and working really hard to stay, to keep going, even without finances. So I'm really enjoying like seeing how this works. I think the hard part about everything is social media is our crutch, and there's so much saturation out there. There's so much. For instance, we've got a new single coming out, but if you look at Spotify, 40,000 songs a day get uploaded to Spotify.
Right.
So you can see like what sets you apart. How do you're throwing a rock into the ocean. So it's just trying to come up with these creative elements. And I would say for me, what's exciting coming up is, even though we just released an album and I want to keep touring this album, and hopefully that will open up one day, is working on this new project. The working title I've got for it's called The Static. And I've got a couple songs that are already starting to take some shape, but it's working on these new film concepts. Are we going to do animation this year? Are we going to do something? What is it that we're being able to create? But also, I think something I'm learning that's exciting for me too is coming back. So Nashville's kind of a second home to us. It's being here. And even though community is kind of shut down right now, it's doing Zoom meetings with some of our church family that's here. It's reconnecting with people who have been in our life over all of these years. It's man, there's so much that where we have been distracted in our world, and COVID has brought us to going, wow, what's really important here? And
Right.
in a musical world, it's so much about living in the future. Even when you're booking shows, you're 6 months out.
Yeah.
Even when I'm planning an album that's 2 or 3 years away, but what happened to living in the present? What happened to the conversation I'm having with you right now, Mary, or the person that's standing right in front of you? And it kind of brings this element of perspective back into, what? Music and art, people are our business. And for us, we're really starting to realize music is a great excuse to hang out with people, to share our stories, to help each other realize we're not alone on the planet, and maybe be a stepping stone to doing something greater than we ever will. How am I building into different artists? And through this process, I've had so many artists reaching out going, hey, how are you guys doing this? How are you guys doing that? And all I can really tell them is this is how we do things. And I'm not telling you what to do, but it's 24 hours a day, 8 days a week. We need a ninth day, especially with COVID. I can't imagine being on the road right now and having to do all the work that we do. It's created work for us that we haven't realized that we needed to do before, but now we depend on it. Anyway.
Right. Right. Well, David said, coolest interview I have heard in a while.
Well, thanks, David. Honesty.
Well, it's like you said, one thing that all this has done, like you said, is put everything into perspective and had all the things that you took for granted before, and it wakes you up. It really does.
And it also challenged you as an artist to, especially the people that have been in my life, my pastor, a lot of my friends that have, I don't want to say reconnected, but now that you're back in tune with each other, it really drives you to be creative in different ways. For instance, I had a friend of mine. For a lot of people that don't know, I play. Thank you, Monica. Right, like your life is what it is, and if someone can grow from it or see themselves in it, like that's art in itself. You are a piece of art.
Yeah, it's an inspiration
But
when
I've
you're inspiring people like that.
Well, I mean, that is your life should be art, however you look at that. And then you bring your life to your approach to music or whatever that is. And for so many years, I was consumed with the machine of music. I was a slave to that, as opposed to bringing my identity to music. Music was my identity, and it's not the way it should be. And I have been learning that through these years. But I had a buddy. I play for a drum company called Risen Drums. They've been building our drums since 2002, I believe. Anyway, they're based out of Minneapolis. And you know, when all of the George Floyd and of course that hits home because of the people that you're connected to. And I had a friend of mine call me. His name's Keith, and we're here in Nashville. And he was going and delivering food to people that were protesting. Thank you, David. I certainly appreciate it. And they were bringing food to people that were protesting. And he called me, and or Marco'd me, and he said, you know, are you going to any of the protests in Nashville? And I was like, well, I thought about it. I don't know what my brain is on all this. I don't know what a stance is on all this. And he was like, dude, what are you talking about? What your stance is? You're an artist. Like, your music is a vehicle for change. You have a platform where people are watching you, watching your actions, watching you fall apart, watching you grow, watching you, they're listening. And he said to me, the challenge is not for you to have a stance. The challenge is, as an artist, is to go and learn empathy, sympathy, try to put yourself in someone else's shoes and eyes, and gain perspective on how are you building a bridge between sides. That's what music is a vehicle for. It's for creating unity. And if you're not going to those protests and trying to understand what tools you need to be able to be creative, to create unity, then I don't know what you should be doing, because that's what art is. Right. And man, that certainly challenged me to go down to the protest for sure, but also to start writing in a perspective of, yeah, I have usually written from dark places in my life. I'm writing from a place of freedom. I want to write from an honest perspective of different things that I'm viewing, especially as you're viewing the COVID world, because you're seeing this creativity, because you're starved for creativity, I guess.
Right.
And you're starved because the distractions that we all have had throughout our lives have become just social media and Tiger King and everything else that's on there.
Right.
It's having to be creative with the elements around you. And those are huge elements that are around us. It doesn't mean I need to change, I need to pick a side or pick a stance. It means, man, how am I a peacekeeper and a lover of life through this process? And how am I using my art and even the creepy stuff we do to be able to
bring people together, right?
Exactly. Anyway, I'm rambling on that.
No, you go, boy. You go. This is your interview. I want you to get across what you want to get across. And I think people really, I mean, I can see from what people are saying, you know, they can relate, and you're helping them all through a really hard time, you know, just by, you know, telling them your story and being there for them, you know. They look up to you guys, you know, and that's, I mean, like I said, and I will reiterate, I mean, you guys made an impact on me just that one time, you know, and that's why I followed y'all ever since, you know. So y'all got this charisma, like you said, that you can use with your music and everything to bring people together. And, you know, I think you're doing a fine job of it. I really do.
Well, thank you very much, Mary. I certainly appreciate the encouragement. And, you know, there's something about humility in a musical world that you don't see very often. And I feel like it takes a person to completely fall apart and be humiliated to find humility. And that's been me even within the last few years of putting that our last album together, the I Didn't Come Here to Die. And also working through shame, working through guilt, working through loneliness and depression, you know, things that a lot of us human beings go through, not just artists, obviously, but a lot of people go through. And it's really you start to connect emotionally that way, and also with excitement and joy
Right.
and the journey. I mean, if we're looking at 2020 as a black hole, yeah, we're going to fall apart. But if we're looking at 2020 as a trampoline and a springboard into a new adventure where the world will never be the same again, and an exciting journey, not just for artists, not just for music. Obviously, we need to value and protect ourselves, but at the same time, if we're looking at here we go, there's no rules. There's no rules in the music world anyway. I mean, I don't even know what we're doing. Honestly,
Right.
Veronica doesn't know what we're doing. We're just having common sense in doing it, and
Right.
no one's going to do it for you. Um, but if we're looking at it as this trampoline of, man, there's something brand new on the verge, on the edge, and we can go out as artists and as musicians and become a new creative force in challenging people's thinking, inspiring people to dream big, challenging people to go further, using our lives to see someone springboard, and maybe we'll never be a huge band, but maybe this person might get some form of concept that you help them have where they go and do greater things than you ever will, and in that way you're a part of their life.
Yeah, you're a part of it. You
It,
you were there when it happened, and something that you did give them the inspiration to create.
that's right, Monica. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's spot on. And that's part of it too. I think as I'm getting older, and I would dare say you have recognized this too, Mary, especially with a lot of the things that you have been through in your life and the people that have connected with you, and you're being able to connect with people who will come up to you one day and say, man, Mary, I saw how you were in this situation. I saw you struggle. I also saw how you've come through it. Man, pray for me because I'm at this spot. But I'm starting to see in a musical world that it's not just all about competition. It's
No.
about community, and it's about sharpening iron with each other, and it's about really helping each other grow. Who cares if someone wins a Grammy? I mean, for me, did I used to be jealous of things like that? If my friends' bands were taking off and doing all these things and we were kind of trapped behind? Yes. I mean, of course. But as I've gotten older through this, I'm starting to see really what really matters in this is that we're building into each other, we're encouraging each other, we're picking each other up as musicians, as artists, as a community, and pushing each other to go to the edge instead of competitively defeating each other and knocking each other down. I feel like maybe I'm just becoming a lover of life instead of just the fighter I used to be.
And and that's, and I for one can totally relate to that, because when I was given the diagnosis that I got with the cancer, I got angry, I got mad, I went through depression, and then I became me, and I was like, no, I don't have to take this lying down. I don't have to just lay here and take this. I can use it to fuel me into helping somebody else through what I've been through, what I've gone through.
Mm.
And I've had, just like this weekend, I performed for the first time in 7 years. I got to sing again, and it was my voice was better than it's ever been. And I'm like, "Whoa, earlier today, I could barely talk. Where did this come from?" I was up there. I started out with some Janis Joplin, me and Bobby McGee, and it was spot on. And Wayne, that was playing with me, he turned around and looked at me. He goes, "Damn, Mary, you just brought that." And I'm just sitting up there going, hashtag fuck cancer.
Agreed.
It would, I mean, so, but I have had people come up to me and tell me, you know, that, you know, people when you're a musician or when you're connected and people, hey, you're like a household name. People do look up to you, and they do look to you for inspiration to help them through the hard times. And, you know, I'm just blessed that I've had people come up to me and tell me, that I inspired them to, not give up and not just, take it laying down. I've connected with so many great people through this. It's just amazing, you know. And
Sure.
then I got connected with Harold Fire and decided let's go another step.
Hey man, you never know where you're going to find your community. I mean, even for us, for a few years, we
Oh, thank you, Tricky. She said,
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's talk about giving you a boost of adrenaline. That's it's giving me chills just thinking about that. Can you see my hair standing up? um,
I don't know if
we
you see mine.
we found a crazy community in New Orleans where we had played in New Orleans many years. Veronica answered a Craigslist ad about playing at a haunted house or something similar to that,
Dude.
um, and we became we went and performed at the House of Shock in New Orleans, which was just amazing. Like bands like Goat Horror played. I think one year the band Ghost, they were playing at Voodoo Fest, came, drove their tour bus over and watched us play one night, which was like for me, I was like, whoa, it's Ghost. I mean, um, but I mean, the whole haunted house was done so well. It was called House of Shock, and it was all based on the devil and the perspective of here's the demons and here's all these different things that from this demonic perspective. This is what hell looks like. This is our portrayal, and it was for us for where we come from. Again, I'm a believer.
Mhm.
Um, we play anywhere. I mean, we don't care if someone invites us. We try to work with people. We haven't charged for a show we haven't charged a guarantee or a contract in 12 years. So we literally live on the love people give to us and help us to get from the next town, the next place. So
Right.
we're we're a strange breed when it comes to the music industry. It's very hippie and grassroots. But even coming from this place of playing House of Shock, a lot of believers, they were even Christians out there picketing, this event. We played there one time, 30-minute show, and then the next year they had us back 3 shows, 5 nights a week, all the way up until Halloween, which is their biggest night, and it's 3,000 people a night, and it was awesome. And we would just park our big rig in the grounds where this was, and everyone became our family there, and they still are. Even through COVID, people are reaching out from House of Shock and,
Right.
and all different areas, because you never know who you're going to connect with. You never know who is searching for help. Someone said it a minute ago, like, it's great that to help people realize they're not alone. You never know how lonely people are.
Right.
um, and sometimes people just need a conversation or a smile. Like where we're parked in Nashville, there's not a lot of people that walk up and down because COVID's happening. Now, if you go to Broadway, there's still a party happening on the weekends for sure. But hang out with so many people that live.
Coming through Nashville, let's see, September the 4th, on my way to the Josie Music Awards.
We may be in town.
We're actually staying the night at a hotel in Nashville the night before and waking up the next morning and driving into the awards because I was nominated for Promoter of the Year. So,
Hey man, way to go! It's killer.
so I will be in touch and I'll be like, hey, y'all still in Nashville? Let's hang.
I'm sure you'll be in a hotel downtown, so we can just walk to where you guys are. No big deal.
Yeah, man, let's go have dinner.
I'm yeah, totally down, totally down.
Yeah.
But that's what I was like. Again, most of the people that I hang out with when I'm parked here are people that live on the street. I don't call them homeless because their home is on the street, and I'm not too far from from that living aspect. And I'll just hang out here and sit on the front porch of the church and just wait for people to come and hang out, and we're just talking, sharing water, sharing food. Obviously, I don't have any money, so that's out. But it's great to be able to just build, and selfishly have a human conversation with someone.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. She said that's awesome.
It
Congrats.
is awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm just I don't know. I think I'm still in I have a sponsor because when I got diagnosed, um, I started my treatment, and it was less than a month later. My husband's peripheral artery disease got worse, and he's had to have an amputation. So now he's not able to work. And all this happened at once. And then I got the notification that I had been nominated, and I'm like, how am I going to go? Well, this lovely lady named Michelle from Dazzle U Productions here locally, she took herself as my sponsor. She bought my evening gown. She's paying for the hotel rooms. Her and her husband's driving us there. And I'm just like, it's crazy.
What
But
a cute, cool thing, man. It's just so cool.
and I feel blessed. you know, I just feel blessed for it.
Hey, I totally get it. I mean, that is something where someone has stepped into your life and has helped you grow, basically. That's exactly,
well,
Mary. That's
yeah.
our life. We have people that donate to us.
Well,
That
it's like, Miles from the band 13X, when my husband was in the hospital, I'm laying beside his bed. I would not leave him. And Miles called me and he goes, what's the exact names of, everything you got, everything Russell's got? My mom wants to know. Well, he was being sneaky because that's when he started the GoFundMe. And
oh,
because of that GoFundMe, even though we have not had any income um, since his surgery in March, yeah, since his surgery, which has been a couple months ago, that GoFundMe has carried us this far to where, we're just now having to get to where we're having to worry about what to do next month to come up with money. But it carried us that far. And it was all the supporters it was just overwhelming. It was I didn't expect it. And I called him. I'm like, "You little sneaky little."
man, God bless him.
Like, "I love you."
Mhm.
I'm like, "I'm gonna get you, man. I'm gonna get you." Well,
It's so cool though. It's so cool to see how someone can start a community to be able to build back into your husband's life, to see you get back on your feet. And again, like, obviously you've got another place coming where it's like, we got to figure this out, same as everyone in the musical world right now.
right. Mhm.
um, but for us too, like, we have supporters and we have donors and people, we call it the feast of friends, people who have been in our life from the very beginning, that that have helped us along financially, that have given us electricity, showers, food, and we couldn't do it without people like that. And you obviously have seen the fruit of that too. And I know that it's been tough for you guys, Mary. Um, and that story is going to help someone and inspire someone and challenge someone to do something for someone else as well. Uh, and I love you for it, man.
I love you too, brother. Well, it's 5 o'clock. Unfortunately, we got to go. So, is there any last words you want to say to your fans, baby?
Yeah, I want to say, first of all, thanks to everyone that's watching, and thanks to Hellfire. Thank you, Mary, for just loving on us and letting us come do the interview. Um, and something that I've been learning through this process, if you're into White Collar Sideshow, just Google White Collar Sideshow. You can go find our music on any social media platform or videos or whatever. Again, we haven't charged for a show. There's a donate button. And lastly, I just want to say, scars are not signs of weakness.
They're
That
signs,
scars,
signs of strength.
yeah, they're signs of growth and survival. And I'm learning that all over again. And
Well, we
so
love you, brother, and you give that beautiful wife of yours a big hug and kiss for me. And when I come to Nashville, we're gonna have dinner.
I'm in. Let's chill. I'm down. I'm down.
All right, love you, brother.
Love you too. Thank you so much, Mary.
No problem. No problem. Guys, that is TD from White Collar Sideshow. Awesome guy, awesome band, just phenomenal inspiration right there. So if you're going through hard times and you're dealing with this COVID thing, go back and watch this video because I'm telling you what, it's going to get better, guys. It's going to get better. So, guys, it's 5 o'clock. Unfortunately, man, I had so much fun. I just didn't even pay attention to the time, and it's over. So if you're a band and you're interested in your music being played on Mama Mary's Music Mayhem on the shows where I'm not doing interviews, below you see the music submission button. You submit your social media links to mary.hellfireradio@gmail.com. Until next Tuesday, I will be coming to y'all with Jasmine Kane, and she's coming off the road straight from Sturgis. So she's going to have lots of exciting stories for us. So see you guys next Tuesday, and we love y'all. Have a blessed day and keep rocking.